this midday, justice for Daunte Wright. Jury selection begins today in the manslaughter trial of a former Minnesota police officer who shot and killed 20-year-old Daunte Wright back in April. Now, you will remember former officer Kimberly Potter is now facing first and second degree manslaughter charges. The officer shot Wright, who was unarmed, in an incident that was recorded in body cam video when it took place on April 11th. Potter claims it was an accident, saying she thought that she had a taser in her hand rather than her gun when she pulled that trigger. Quentin Giles is here this midday to help us dive deeper this midday. Now, of course, the nation is taking everything in from Rittenhouse to Aubrey. Now we head on over to justice for Daunte Wright. What can we expect as jury selection begins, and could this process take as long as it did for the Aubrey trial?
Yeah, first off, Marcel, thank you for having me, and thank you for covering this story. It is unfortunate that we are here yet again talking about Black people being slain in the streets, but this is America. Yeah, there are some key differences that we're going to see in this case than we did in Derek Chauvin. It's interesting. It's almost horrifically poetic that the killing of Daunte Wright happened miles away from where Derek Chauvin was on trial. But we don't expect this trial to last as long. One, because there are not as many witnesses. In the Derek Chauvin trial for the murder of George Floyd, it was in public. We all seen the 8 to 9 minute video. So you had a large amount of witnesses, bypassers, people who were standing there recording. And so the prosecution in that case called all of those witnesses. Here, the killing of Daunte Wright happened a lot quicker than it did for George Floyd. And so the number of witnesses is going to be severely smaller in comparison. So we should probably, we might be wrapped up with this case in about 2 weeks after jury selection.
Wow, definitely a lot quicker. Now, what can we expect differently in this Kim Potter case? And as a viewer, what do you think will stand out that will make this kind of unique?
Yeah, so what we can expect is the defense to really go after the fact, or really use the argument that it was an accident, right? That she's already claimed she was reaching for her taser. And we've already seen in some of the legal briefs that that is a defense that they will try to use and try to say that a reasonable person might make the same accident, which may be true in some cases, but the difference is this is a cop, and this is a cop who's been trained, and this is a cop who's been on the force for decades. And so this is a cop that we should expect to understand their training and understand what weapons they have on which side and what they're actually doing. Also, we're going to be watching out for witness testimony, which we hadn't really been seeing a lot lately, but apparently there was a witness who recorded the police officers not giving Daunte Wright medical intervention after they shot him, which will play a critical role in this trial, because then it also it speaks to why almost intent, but also why did you not render aid, especially after you shot him and you knew that you shot him. So those are things that I'm going to be watching out as a viewer, and I think that's going to be unique as far as that witness seeing that and recording it. But then also it may not be that unique, because we've heard of cops not rendering aid too many times before.
Now, just a couple weeks ago, we were all pretty shocked when McMichael testified in that Aubrey trial. Do we expect Potter to testify in this one?
That I'm not too sure of. I think that it's a good chance that she will, though. Just when you look at the entire structure of the case, because they are arguing that it's an accident, her taking the stand to really dredge up maybe some tears of her own. We also know that America is severely sympathetic to white women in distress. And so I could see there being a calculated play from the defense team pushing her to testify. So we'll just have to wait and see.
And you kind of mentioned this in your first answer. This case brings up race relations and policing, of course. Wright was pulled over for an expired tag and lost his life. Do you think police officers were more on their guard because Daunte Wright was a Black man? And of course, that Chauvin trial was taking place as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I believe that two things can be true at once, right? I won't negate the fact that the tag was expired. And so there was cause for a cop to intervene. Let's just lay that there. There was not cause for him to lose his life. So that the two things can be true at once, but absolutely they were at a heightened sense of awareness. Absolutely they were at a heightened sense of alertness, because we had seen those protests, because the world was watching in that town. And because of that, you would think that there would be more care and precision from the cops during that time. The articles that I've been reading based upon what happened that day shows a lot of tactical errors. I'm sure that's going to come out in evidence when this trial goes on, but it's showing a lot of tactical errors and mistakes from the cops that day. So even if you are at a heightened state of awareness, which we've heard so many cops say that they already are because of the type of work that they do, one would think that they would continue to take extra precautions because they literally have a license to kill. They are the people that carry the guns and enforce laws and have the power to take our lives away. So one would hope there would be some change that comes on the other side of this, but unfortunately, I think we keep talking about the same story because there hasn't been any substantive change from the top down.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what unfolds these next coming weeks. Quentin Giles, thank you so much for your perspective this midday. We appreciate it.